All right, all right. Welcome to the podcast, guys. We are now live a little after 3 a.m. on the East Coast. Gonna wait for a couple of you guys to join. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, the podcast, guys. We're on Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Threads, and X, the podcast guys 5. The rest of the social media platforms, either on the podcast guys or the podcast guys _ So make sure you guys support the channel and check us out. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Hope you guys are doing well. Late in the evening, early Sunday morning. So we are going to get into it. We're going to get into why women are single. So that's a big issue. You know, we talk a lot about why guys are single. We talk a lot about the problems that guys have, but what's holding women back? Why are these ladies single? That's something that we want to cover today. I think it's very important. I think it may wake some of the ladies up, help them out, because we are, for the most part, usually targeting helping guys out. But again, we want to bridge the gap between men and women in dating and help everybody out. We know we get the hate. We understand where it comes from, but we mean well, and we're going to try to provide some value here tonight. So why don't we go ahead and talk about why women stay single?
So whenever this topic gets brought up, why are men single? Why are women single? You'll always hear two sides of the argument. Men will say, well, women's standards are too high. They want 6 foot, 6 figures, yada, yada. We've heard that a million times. Women will say, well, men don't bring anything to the table, or men ain't shit, or men don't know how to treat us. I don't believe that's the reason they're single. And I think it's about time somebody steps forward and actually says this, but I believe that a lot of modern women prefer to stay single unless a guy could come into her life and change her life financially. They would just rather stay single and enjoy the benefits of being single. So we're going to get into that.
Totally. I agree with that. I mean, just to kind of point it out, I mean, women have options. You know, women, doesn't matter, you know, who she is, the type of woman she is, the looks and whatnot. Women have options. They have a lot of opportunities with men. Men hit them up, whether it's via text, Instagram, DM, any other way, dating app, Tinder, Bumble, whatever you want to use to be able to get to women in person, approaching, which is I would say we see often, but it's not as successful. I mean, it seems like not a lot is successful with trying to get a date, any type of connection with a woman nowadays. It is tough for men, but women have that choice. Women have that control. They stay single by choice for the most part. I mean, I don't know if you saw one of the clips going on social media that there was a woman that had her Hinge app where it was like over 5,000 messages, right? Mm-hmm. So guys requesting to talk to her, to say hello, and she has all the options, but she's not the guy that she wants.
It's gotten to that point where, and I'm trying to see this from a woman's point of view, assuming you're an attractive woman, you're single, you're still younger, the benefits of being single outweigh the benefits of being in a relationship. Because as a single, attractive woman, this is the best time to be alive right now. You have an endless amount of men that are willing to take you out on dates, to fly you out, to compliment you. Why would you give up unlimited attention? And, you know, I'm not saying all women are gold diggers and all women take that route of being flown out, but a lot of them do. Why would you give all of that up to date one single guy that makes $70K a year, maybe could afford to take you on vacation once a year, take you out to eat once every couple months? They don't want to give up being single. And I'm surprised that women don't want to admit to this, because if you've ever watched any podcast where they bring women on, and we've done this ourselves, we'll ask, you know, girls like, what are your standards? What are you expecting from a man? And they'll go off on a tangent, right? I need X, Y, Z. He needs to make this much. I expect this from him. But when you ask them, what have you actually done to attract that? It's like, blah, 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 blah. They don't know what to say. because they're not looking for it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, there's, things have changed from what they were a long time ago. And nowadays it seems like not just women, but it seems like there's guys that don't know which direction they're going in. There's a lot of people lost out there, a lot of women lost. And that definitely could encapsulate why they're single. So to point out a chat here, definitely very important. I've been single since 1999 after my ex pulled a gun on me. And that was it for me. I'm 59 now, happy to be single. Glad you're safe. It's sad to hear that.
That's a very extreme case, and I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Absolutely. I mean, domestic violence is off the charts in the country, and it's horrible when it happens. Anything like that happens to a man or a woman, need to get away from their opposite when it comes to something violent like that. So it's definitely, you did the right thing by getting away from this person after that occurred, and we're glad you're okay and that you're safe. So yeah, let's get into the first reason why women stay single. Do you have one reason why women choose to stay single?
Sure. I would say the first reason that a lot of these women stay single is just simply for the freedom. They want the freedom to be able to do whatever they want. I mean, you'll notice that, again, if you've watched any podcast, I mean, Fresh and Fit, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that one. It's no secret that a lot of these women have a body count of like 50 plus, 100 plus, some of them more. But you can't hold them accountable for it. You're not allowed to judge them for it, because these women, they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want any rules or regulations of a relationship or somebody telling them what to do or how they're supposed to live their life. A lot of these women are liberal, they're feminists. And this is the programming now. This is how it's going to be moving forward. We live in a society where men aren't really allowed to hold women to any sort of standard because it's considered abusive. But women could hold us to whatever standard they want. They're going to tell us how much we're supposed to make, how we're supposed to act, where we're supposed to live. They're going to set all the standards for us, but they want that freedom to do and live however they want. And I think that's really the main reason a lot of these women choose to stay single. Because look, I'll say this real quick. If you're an attractive woman and you really wanted a relationship, if that's really what you wanted, you could have a relationship tomorrow. 100%. You can't tell me, like, even if a woman has high standards, you can't tell me that a beautiful woman can't find a successful man and lock down a relationship at least in a couple of months. And I know women that are attractive, that are successful, independent, and they've been single for 5 years. How does that work?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, women have the opportunity by so many men approaching them. It's not only on social media, but it's in person. It's by a connection through a friend. Maybe there's a social gathering. There's those singles events that sometimes, people show up to, and they have conversation and strike conversation. And even there, women show up to those and they don't really show interest in the guy. So it's tough anywhere you go as a guy trying to approach a woman, trying to talk to a woman, because for the most part, they don't give you the time of day. And that's one of those reasons, because women desire autonomy. They desire to be independent. They desire to have control over their decisions. And because of those factors, it's kind of out of a man's hand. He can't really overpower that situation where the woman has the mindset that she's going to do her thing. She doesn't need a guy around. She's good. Bills are paid. She's being taken care of. And she doesn't need a guy there for what a guy used to be needed to be there for before, which is to provide, protect. Well, I would say a guy should, still be around to protect a woman. Men are genuinely, men are stronger than women physically, mentally. And this is not to, push any hate towards women. It's just what it is. If there's someone that's breaking into your home and you're a woman, you're going to want a guy to go down there and take care of the situation and protect you. So it's just what it is. And the guy is expected to get up and protect a woman from any sort of situation that could put her in danger, such as someone breaking into a home, or maybe they're outside and a guy tries to snatch her purse. You know, what's going to happen if the guy doesn't do anything? You know, that's the problem when men kind of go towards that feminine side of themselves. You know, women don't want a feminine man because feminine men cannot protect women. You know, that's very, very important for women to realize why it's important to have a masculine man in their life and not some feminine pussy, pretty much, you know. But looking at one of the comments here, but I will say there are good women out there. My most recent ex was perfect. Unfortunately, we broke up on mutual terms because I wanted to have kids and she didn't. We were going to get married, but I will say if you want a good woman, go to church. That's where you will find them. You know, yes and no to the last part, but yeah, I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out because, yeah, sure, maybe you want kids as a man, she doesn't want kids. It happens. You know, it's one of those things where there's a disagreement between what ideas and future, you know, the future potential of what the relationship can turn into. So that is something that breaks off relationships, unfortunately. But going back to the whole women desiring autonomy and wanting to be independent, yeah, I mean, you can't deny it. That's one reason why women, in a way, choose to be single and what's keeping women single. I think women may need to, at some point, let go of that philosophy of I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man, because that's the mentality. They may not say it as much, but they're definitely thinking it and they're definitely acting on that.
Now that women are independent, educated, they can provide for themselves financially, I understand why they've kind of raised the bar for the standards for themselves, because now they're saying to themselves, all right, now I have the upper hand. I'm independent. I don't need a man to pay my bills because I'm already doing pretty well for myself. So if I'm going to give up the freedom and the unlimited attention of being single, I'm only willing to do that if I have a man that comes into my life that completely can change my lifestyle. This is why you'll see a lot of these like women on podcasts that are like ghetto hood rats, like, you know, and they throw wild numbers out, 500,000, 100,000, a million, and they're just throwing numbers out there. They don't even know what the hell they're saying, because in their heads, they would rather stay single or have a man that's going to come in and like give them like some luxury lifestyle, which is just delusion. Like that's not realistic for most of these women, at least. But that's where I think they get these crazy standards from. That's not really their standard. If that was their standard, they would be living like that to begin with.
And it's one of those things where women are making a lot of money now in certain jobs. You know, I see real estate agents, women that are in real estate making a lot of money. You can talk about the OnlyFans women. They're making, you know, there's a bunch of them that are making a lot of money. And now that they see that amount of money, they look towards a man and see, well, does he make at least what I make? And if he doesn't make that same amount, I'm good. I don't need no man. And that's the direction that women are going in, is that they don't need no man because of financial reasons, you know, mostly because they're good with money. And men are looked towards as, well, can he provide to me financially? And if she can provide for herself, why would she choose to go with a man? So I understand the women's mentality, but that's not the right way to go about it.
OnlyFans is a good example of how certain women would rather stay single, exploit themselves, potentially make millions of dollars, and just live their life and be free. I watched an interview with Sophie Rain, which she's like one of the top OnlyFans creators. She's made like something north of like $80 million in her career. She's like 21 or 22 years old.
She claims to have made that much.
She claims to have made that much. Yeah. And they did a interview with her and she's like, yeah, I'm single. Like, you know, I want a good man to come into my life. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, what is she saying? What does that even mean? A good man's going to come into your life? Like, you're an online sex worker. You're worth like $90 million supposedly. What type of a man is going to fit that puzzle? What does that even look like? Plus, she's like in her early 20s. I can't even. No successful man's going to date her. she's not going to be willing to date an average Joe Schmo. I just don't understand how that works. But again, it all points to the same thing. Maybe they don't want to flat out say it and admit it, but you can't tell me that she's not enjoying. She just bought a farm in Tampa, like a 20-acre farm. You can't tell me that she would rather just stay single and enjoy making that money and having the benefits of that, because she knows that if she gets into a relationship, the guy's going to complain, try to pull her away from OnlyFans, and in a way restrain her from what she's been doing. They know that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it that way, that's a mistake because, yes, maybe she makes a lot of money, so she might be okay with not having a man for financial reasons, but he's there as a protector because you could have millions of dollars, billions of dollars, but if you don't have a guy by your side to protect you in a situation where, again, you might be getting your purse ripped off of your arm, who's going to protect you? A guy's there to protect you, a masculine man, because we see how when men are feminine, maybe they don't jump in or they don't jump in as quick. That's important. That's the important reason why both sides should know their roles. Women being feminine, men being masculine. I think that's very important in that situation. But yes, women can make their own money. They're good. They're good. They don't need a man for money. And nowadays, a lot of women are making money. That's understandable. But the point is that men are there to help you out in case of other situations. Men are there to protect, right? Again, to save your life in case there's somebody that breaks into your house. There was that OnlyFans girl that her husband and her are somehow still together. I don't remember the name, but somehow still together. There was a couple guys that broke into their house, and he was able to save her somehow. Again, I don't remember the whole story. Didn't look into it, but I saw something of that nature that happened. And he basically saved her, and she doesn't appreciate it. It's very sad to see that. So again, no matter how much money you have as a woman, you still need a guy to at least protect you. That's one out of many other things, but that's one of the main things. Men are stronger physically, so they are there to protect you.
See, over the past like 5 years or so, a lot of men have been running to YouTube to try to figure this all out, right? Like, maybe I should get a dating coach. Maybe if I watch certain podcasts, I'll figure the answer. Like, what am I doing wrong? They look for like tips. To be honest with you, I think most men nowadays are realizing they're playing a game they can't win. Because at this point, this is rigged against you. Even if you do make $100K a year and you're good looking and you're in the gym, you're still playing a losing game, because these women, I'm telling you, and I'm specifically talking about the attractive women. I mean, I don't think anybody cares what like an overweight woman with a big back, why she's single. But we're talking about attractive women. These women don't care about having a monogamous romantic relationship.
100%.
They're not. So even if you do everything by the book, the way you're supposed to, and do what these dating coaches tell you, yes, it'll improve your chances. I'm sure you'll do better, but that's not the real problem. And that's why I wanted to do this episode today, because I think it's about time, we get into this. The real reason why most of these women are attractive. They have all this attention. All these guys are coming at them. But how is it possible that they're single? They can't find a man. You can't find a successful man that meets your requirements. I think that's BS.
Yeah, they're definitely out there. And before we continue with that, thanks, guys, for jumping in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, The Podcast Guys. Some of you are asking what this channel is about. We talk about dating, where we bring ladies on. We're going to have some episodes coming up, likely one this coming week. We just had one that posted with one of the ladies on. So we have some ladies. We interview them and give them a chance to talk their talk and say their piece when it comes to dating, relationships, and how it is on their end, and what their perspective is, because obviously, we're here discussing it, but we definitely want to give the ladies a chance to come in and say what they have to say, and for people not to think that we're just quote unquote bashing women, which we aren't. We are, trying to wake them up. We're trying to wake the guys up as well, and really to bridge the gap here between both sides, because it seems like there's a lot of channels out there that try to push men away from women, and women away from men. So we're hoping to bridge the gap, even though some of the things we say will not come out great. But absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, women desire to stay independent it's one of those things where it's going to hurt them more than help them at the end of the day, because traditionally that's not the way it's been, and the values have changed along the way because of it. So hopefully they're, you know, these women have to be able to recognize that on their own and want to change that if they want things to work out. I mean, they say why they're single, but they're also very picky, right? They also decide to be independent. They choose to be because they want that control. They want the control of it over their decisions. When they're with a man and they're with a real man, a masculine man, the guy's making decisions and she's following along, which is how it should be. So things can work out properly. But how about another reason that women decide to stay single? When we get into another one.
Yeah, I think another reason that women like to stay single, and again, they're not going to admit to this because it'll make them look bad. I think it's because they want to have the freedom to sleep with whoever they want to. That's pretty obvious. Who has the high body counts nowadays? It's not guys.
It's not.
I don't know any guys with a body count of 100 plus. These women, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? If they weren't all about sleeping with whoever they want, they would have body counts of 10, 15, 20. These broads have body counts of 100 plus. They like to get screwed, and they like the freedom of screwing whoever they want, whenever they want. They don't want to be tied to one guy that's going to, like, you know, boring, repetitive sex. That's like, this is why it's a big problem in marriages, because the sex becomes routine, okay? And then what will end up happening is either the wife will stop having sex with the husband, or she'll go out and cheat with her boss, with some guy she met online. It happens all the time. And now you see these videos on like YouTube and TikTok where like couples, you know, catch each other.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's the woman doing it.
It doesn't become excited when they are married and there's no romantic spark anymore. There's no sexual connection anymore. There's, you know, it's no fun anymore. It's kind of like a job for the woman, and guys kind of have to find a way to beg at that point, because you already locked her in for marriage. You know, you maybe have a kid or two, and she doesn't feel a need to put out anymore. And that's the scary thing about men and women getting married. That's a whole nother topic. We might brush over it a little bit over this live tonight. But yeah, it's really one of those things where guys just have to stay on their game. Guys have to stay on top of things. And, you know, the suggestion is not to get married, because there is absolutely no benefit. If we could tell you something tonight that will save you men out there, there's no benefit for you getting into a marriage. You know, you might make her happy for a couple of months. You know, you'll have the big, luxurious wedding, the honeymoon. You know, it'll go on for, you know, a couple weeks, and then you come back home, a couple more months, everything will be fine and dandy. But things can change right away. It could turn into a 180, and there goes your marriage. So where's the sexual connection after that? Well, she doesn't have to give sex if she doesn't want after that. So, you know, she has you locked in. You put a ring on her finger, she has you locked in, and you may be stuck. So, you know, at least, you know, we're saying that at least, you know, hear us out, you know, you guys out there, and you know, some of you guys may get married, you know, so, you know, go ahead and do that, but just be careful, because you may just regret your decision. So, yeah, I mean, definitely going back to what you said with the high body count, guys don't have that choice to be able to have a body count of, you know, 100, 500 or more. I mean, you hear about the, you know, the Lily Phillips of the world and the Bonnie Blues of the world. And, you know, it's just setting a bad precedent, an example to all these other women to go ahead and do the same thing, that, you know, they kind of wakes them up and shows them that they're capable of doing that same thing and just sleeping around and having that sort of control over their life, having that sort of independence. It's kind of scary that women can easily be influenced by women such as those women, or OnlyFans women, or, you know, sex workers, and they'll decide to go out and have a lot of sex and raise their body count. And I mean, I think
Lily Phillips is a prime example. Like, it makes you kind of question, like, okay, we get it, you're a porn star, but she's taking it to a whole nother level. I don't even know how many people she had sex with at this point, but it kind of makes you question, like,
Who
what's
knows?
her reasoning to do it? Like, is this about fame? Is this about money? Is this about attention? Like, she's taking it to a whole nother level, but
Who knows? Who knows? It's scary. I don't think we want to know.
I
how many
guarantee
people.
you, if you were to ask her, like, you know, what are your requirements to date? She'll start throwing some wild shit at you too. Like, it needs to be this, and make this much, and like, it's insane. These broads are out of their minds.
100%, 100%. Somebody actually mentioned in the chat, for a large percentage of modern women, marriage is like landing a dream job, then a couple years later demanding half ownership in the business that hired you. Family law overwhelmingly favors women. Couldn't agree more with that. I mean, that's a tip of the cap to you. Absolutely. I mean, we've said it all the time that marriage favors women. Once you sign that contract, you're in it. You're in it. And if you want to get out, there's going to be repercussions. There's going to be consequences. It's going to bite you in the ass. So that's why we tell guys, don't get married. Again, we get, oh, how could you say that? You guys are assholes. You guys are this and that. But we're telling you to protect you. We're here trying to save you. Not just possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars, but and we do this out of the care for you guys. We don't really get much out of it, but trying to provide that value and just try to keep saying it over and over again to wake you guys up. But at the end of the day, we're saving you financial harm, a headache, and just pretty much a rough life. Once that occurs, I mean, that's it. It's unimaginable what occurs when a divorce happens and the guy, which mostly happens for the most part, a guy loses the majority of his stuff. It's scary. So that's why we're here. We're trying to wake you guys up, trying to be positive about it. But, it's tough to be positive when it's something and a topic that comes out pretty negative, so unfortunately. So, yeah. So I would jump on it. The next reason why women stay single is because of those high standards that they have. So I think you mentioned that before. So high standards, women basically have all these requirements from men. And what's crazy is that there's a lot of men a handful of men, I would say, that women say, oh, this is the perfect man. This is the perfect boyfriend. He takes care of me, buys me flowers. He's texting me throughout the day. He thinks about me. And he's always there for me. He does everything, but it's just too much, and I need to break up with him. That's what's crazy, is that you can be one of the most perfect men out there, a lot of money, high status, the rare guy, and not even the rare guy, but just a regular dude who is doing everything to appease his woman, and she loves it, but at the same time, she can't handle it, so she breaks up with him. So what do you say about that, the high standards, and why women should lower their standards?
Yeah, it seems that women nowadays share this fear of settling. Like, they're going to date this guy, and they're going to miss out on potentially this better, more successful, handsome guy. That's really what you hear most of the time. I'm not settling. I'm not settling. And what a selfish, narcissistic way to view dating to begin with. I'm not settling. I think the question that you have to ask yourself at some point or another is, which man is going to settle for me? As a woman, right? You could keep your standards, but if you're pushing a certain age, right? You have to ask yourself, which man is going to settle for you? I think you have to flip the viewpoint a little bit, because a lot of these women, we had a few girls on the other day, and just like usual, we asked them, what are your standards? What are you looking for from a man? They all went off. And Nando stopped and asked them, well, what have you been doing specifically to attract a man into your life? And they were like a loss for words. They have to stop and think about it, because they're doing nothing. they're doing nothing to attract a man into their life.
I don't think they could believe that we were actually trying to help them out.
They're just expecting it to happen because they have high standards.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And
I just exist, so
I'm just here. So I expect him to come up, talk to me, and just buy me a drink or offer me stuff right off the bat, and just because they exist. I think that's a problem that women need to maybe take out of their mind, put aside, and realize that they need to provide more than just an appearance, just showing up. I think that's going to be of benefit to them in trying to attract the best man possible.
And look, for the record, I'm not saying women shouldn't have standards because I think we say this sometimes and people take it out of context. Of course, women should have standards. They should hold themselves to a standard, and of course, they should hold a man to a certain standard.
Definitely.
You're not going to date a bum or an ugly fat guy. Like we do the same thing. We don't want a fat woman with big beefy shoulders and a wide back. But at some point, if you've been single for 5 years and you know you're an attractive woman, you have to stop and look at yourself. What have you done? What effort have you made? And I don't like the whole conversation of, oh, what do you bring to the table? Like that, we need to leave that shit in 2025. That hasn't gone anyone anywhere to this point. What do you bring to the table?
And that's what women ask men all the time is, what do you bring to the table? And I think the best way for men to weed that type of woman out of their life is by really trying to get to know her on a deeper level and finding out what her true intentions are. So that's why we mentioned find a way to get her on a date or to get her to go out with you and not spend a bundle of money on her the first couple go-arounds. I would definitely find a way to go for a walk with her. If a woman is receptive to going for a walk with you, it could be a walk in the park. I mean, I know mostly cold nowadays here. We're in winter now, but if you can go for a walk somewhere or, do some activity that's not as costly and you can really get to know each other on a deeper level. And women are okay with that. They are accepting of that opportunity because it's as much as it's an opportunity for him to go on a date with her because she's beautiful or whatever the case is. It's also an opportunity for her to go on a date with him. It's both ways. So women should realize that, and the women that do, to you guys out there and that are receptive to that, continue to try to find a way to lock them down because that's the real woman that we're looking for. I would say, in my view, I think we're looking for that type of woman that doesn't see us for what we have in our wallet. It's more or less what they see us as a man. And men can respect women for it too. Respect more women for it too. It's getting tougher nowadays, but if there's women out there that can be receptive to that, let a man get to know them, and they get to know that man for who he is, and not just for what he brings to the table. I think things will thrive between relationships. I think things will really go well.
Anytime we bring women on, they all kind of say the same thing, right? Like, oh, I need a guy that's emotionally intelligent, that's in tune with his spirits and all this stuff. And all that's great. Like, I crack jokes about it here and there. All that stuff is great. It sounds like, they're coming from the right place. But again, it makes you ask the question. You're attractive. You're a feminine woman. Why don't you have a man? Like, I understand everyone has a breakup. You go through a year or two period. You need to be alone, whatever. But a lot of these women are attractive. They're pushing 40 years old and they're single, and they don't really seem like they're rushed. I'll tell you another one that's concerning. The relationships thing is one thing. You're seeing a growing trend of women that aren't even interested in having kids anymore.
I'm seeing that too.
That's a whole nother thing. But you're seeing a trend of women where they're saying, yeah, I'm just going to live my life the way I'm doing it and travel, and I don't want to have kids. That's weird.
Yeah. One of the guys in the comments actually mentioned that he didn't have a compatible relationship, and it ended up having to break off because he wanted to have kids and she didn't want to have kids. And the funny thing is that it's usually the other way around. It's usually she doesn't want kids, and she wants kids and
Correct.
he doesn't want kids.
Right.
So it's surprising that it seems like more women don't want to have kids, and that goes to that statistic that's coming up in 2030. We're in 2026, guys. Happy New Year's to those of you coming in. If we didn't see you in the last couple lives, welcome to the show. Those of you commenting, we see some of your comments pouring in. If you do want us to shout something out on the show, you can support our channel by super chatting that comment or question in, and we'll be happy to discuss it on the show, bring it up on the show. But that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Where by 2030 that 45 to 50% or more women are going to be single and childless. is that's kind of support that comment there supports that statistic that women don't want to have kids. And I think women, it's looking back at that independence and women trying to control their destiny per se. They want to control their decisions, which of course everybody has the right to control their decisions, both men and women. However, in that case, if you want a relationship, there's going to be certain things that are in your control. There's going to be certain things that are in his control, mostly in his control, because men are expected to step up and lead. So for women to decide not to have kids and men to want to have kids, she's going to end up being single.
And that's another thing I hear very often is, women will, and they're telling the truth when they say they want a man that leads, a man that's masculine. These are all like legitimate things to say, because women sometimes give these kind of BS answers. They do want a man that leads, but you can't lead a woman that doesn't want to be led. You can't lead a woman that wants to live her life her way, be independent, and to go through life her own way. There's no room for a man in her life. Women need to make room for a man to come into their life.
What's the saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you
Yes.
can't make him drink?
Correct.
Right? So that's kind of that same situation. You can give the woman the directions of how it can work, but if she doesn't want it to work, then she won't let it work out. I mean, it's really on her. It's a two-way street.
I want to answer one of the comments. Somebody said that, like, go to church. That's where you'll find a good woman. Yes and no. Yes, I would like to date a woman that's religious. It's a good sign. But what I'm also seeing is this growing trend of thoughts that turn religious. Like they say a hoe's final form is a religious woman. That is a real thing. We know women that were absolute, I'm not going to say the word on YouTube, but you know what I was about to say.
Believe
That all of a sudden post Bible quotes and they're in church every weekend. And I'm like, it's if you really are religious and you've made you turned a new leaf, good for you. That's great. But I feel like it's like a coping mechanism. Like they're trying to heal their past or something. I don't know. But yeah, I do believe you. Yeah, church is probably better than the bar, right?
I mean, that would make sense, but I think that it may be a bit much with, how women are like, church. And, it seems like women need to, I guess, quote unquote, we hear it sometimes, find God because they are just kind of lost and don't know what they want. So, maybe in that regard, church may not be the best place to find women, but there also is the other side where there are women that are sane and that you're able to, find that's normal, that happens to go to church, and you meet her there and it works out. So, it's either way. It's not 100% one way or the other. But
If it's a woman that was raised that way and her family, raised her in that environment, that's definitely a plus for me. But again, like I said, some of these broads just recently became religious, if you know what I mean.
100%. And again, going back to the standards, I think women will benefit if they do lower their standards, because the thing is that most of their standards are unrealistic, and that's what's causing them and preventing them from settling down. They may want to settle down, but they keep themselves from it because they're like, okay, well, this guy has most of what I'm looking for, but he's missing a couple of things. I'm going to sit and wait out till I get that guy that has the rest of it. But when they want all the requirements, the successful guy status, higher than 6 feet, smells good, is resilient, is respectful, is accountable, is empathetic, all these things, then you're talking about the rare guy, and then that rare guy is one of a kind. There's not many of that particular guy. So they're pretty much looking for a needle in the haystack and selling themselves a dream that may not happen to work out.
Look, we live in Jersey, right? And I know women that went to school, got a master's degree, they work in corporate America, right? They date and hang out in Manhattan, Jersey City. So in that particular area, they're surrounded by successful men.
100%.
Anytime they're going out for drinks and brunch, they're surrounded by successful men. So they're, any major city, you're going to have successful men in that area. You can't tell me that not a single one of them didn't approach you. Out of the many men you slept with, not a single one of them met your criteria. So that's why going back to like what I said in the beginning of this live, I don't believe that a lot of these women, it's not an issue of them of them finding a man that meets their criteria. I think they just secretly want to stay single
I
and
think so
just
too.
keep it going like another 5 years, another 5 years. Maybe something better will come along. And in the meantime, they're enjoying the freedom of being single, right? When a woman says she's celibate, she's not celibate.
She's not
That's
celibate.
BS.
Come
No
on.
woman's celibate.
Come on.
No woman's
You
celibate.
got to be naive to believe that she's celibate. Come on. That's like something that if you're, a 19 or 20-year-old guy, basically still a kid, and she tells you that, you fall for it. I don't think, and guys that age too, they got to wake up and realize that when women say that, that ain't true,
And another thing these women need to realize is like, if you aim too high, when the blue check marks start to hit you up, they're gonna fly you out. They're gonna have sex with you. They're gonna take you out to eat, and that's where it's gonna end.
And that's it. And women,
And I don't blame them. If you're a successful man, like you've reached that point, you're gonna also want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You're not just gonna settle. And this is what I was saying before. Like a lot of these broads talk about like their standards and not settling. But you got to be real. When you start messing with like the high end men, why would they settle for you?
Exactly. And there's an imbalance, right? We're talking about women that are beautiful. There's a lot of those women, right? And then men that have it all. Rich guy, again, what I listed before, higher than 6 feet, smells good, dresses well, is smart, is physically fit, goes to the gym, takes care of himself, resilient, tough, stoic. It's this low. So beautiful women high, that type of man that I just described, that low, it's one of those things that women have to wake up and realize that if you aim high, if you aim too high, you're going to sell yourself short. You're going to be in for disappointment. And we're trying to wake you up to that, ladies that say that we hate you and that we're misogynist, which is far from the truth. We love you ladies. We want to help you ladies too, but we got to get on the same page. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for supporting. Again, if you want to ask a question or comment and you want us to read it on the show, shoot over a super chat and we'll be happy to do so. We want to stay on topic here. So, it's one of those things where the values have to be reciprocated, right? Women have to respect a man's value and vice versa. And it just seems that women fall short when it comes to that respect. And those standards, those standards are really keeping them away from the guy that, he may not be, and there's no perfect 10, but he may not be a 9.9. But if you give the guy that's, an 8.5 a chance, you may be in for a phenomenal relationship in the future with that guy ahead. So it's one of those things where hopefully women start realizing like, hey, yes, I have all these things going on. And for those things, I don't need a man. But there's other aspects in my life that having a man there will fulfill that part of my life. And it's just one of those things that women seem to be losing. Women out there have to do it on their own and, one at a time. We're unfortunately we're hoping that we can influence you to change, but we can't change you. You have to be able to change yourself. That's for the guys out there too. If you are, let's face it, there's guys that are overweight. If you're overweight, we can tell you that we go to the gym, we work hard, we run, we exercise, we play sports, whatever it is to stay in shape. And we can tell you to get into the gym and exercise and get physically fit and do what it takes, because that's one thing that women look for is attraction, right? Physical attraction in a guy. But you guys got to be the one to get out of your basement, change into your gym clothes, drive over to the gym, sign up if you don't have a membership, and get to work. We can't make you do it. We can't hold your hand to do it. Nobody held our hand to go in and be what we've become and to accomplish what we've accomplished and to continue struggling, because there are struggles. There's still stuff that we struggled with. Nobody's perfect. And if there's any other influencer telling you that they don't have a struggle with something, they don't have a weakness, they're lying to you. So it's one of those things where it's up to you that you can make that change and improve your life for the better. So
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look, as a man, because we always like criticize the women. As a man, before you even think about dating and approaching attractive women, you have to make sure you're in the right place too. Like financially, depending on your age, of course, you got to have money saved. Are you in debt? Do you have loans? Do you live with your parents? Do you live alone? Like all those things matter because women look at all of that stuff now more than ever. Like when I connected with this girl on a dating app and she starts asking me where I live, who I live with, like they want to know everything. Women nowadays will disqualify you over like the most random shit. So you have to have, as a man, you do have to have your shit together before you even think about dating. And if you're younger, if you're between ages of like 18 and 25, those are the years you got to focus on making money and getting your job, your career in order. The dating, you'll have plenty of time for that shit.
Another issue that keeps women single and why they stay single is timing issues. Not a lot of mention of that. Timing issues. She may have just gotten out of a relationship. She maybe just broke up with the previous guy, dealt with some things. Maybe it was a relationship, could have lasted a couple months, could have lasted 4 or 5 years, whatever the case is. They broke up, and then basically now she's kind of doing her own thing, trying to live it up again, partying, just trying to make up for lost time. Maybe there's a guy out there that notices that she's single, tries to hit her up, tries to see what's going on, and if there's interest, and there might not be interest reciprocated. Maybe there was interest prior at some point, but now there's no interest reciprocated. For the guys that approach a woman in that situation, you know for sure that she's broken up, or maybe you think that she's broken up. You approach it, she's not reciprocating. The suggestion is to move on to someone else. Again, focus on yourself is the big thing, and then things come into play. Women are basically orbiting you if you put yourself in a situation where you're out accomplishing things, you're in the gym working out. You can meet her in the gym. You can meet her in activities that you're doing, that you share between one another. So I would definitely get away from that woman that is still reeling after that breakup and focus on yourself, and then approach or interact and talk to women that are sharing the same activities that you're doing at that moment in time. So I think timing issues are a big thing. She may be interested, but she just might not be ready at that point in time. So maybe don't completely shut her out, but focus on yourself. I think guys need to, keep that in mind, that maybe the time isn't right for that woman. What do you think?
The more experience you have with women, you'll eventually learn that. And I've made this mistake for years in my 20s. Like, man, like going back, like it's one of those like if I only knew what I know now type of thing. The more you chase a woman, the more you try to please her, the more you try to convince her to like you, the more you will push her away. And that's just the reality of it. That's just the dynamics of men and women. As a man, you're better off holding back, being mysterious, giving her a little bit of attention at a time. The moment she sees that she has you won over, or that you're afraid to lose her, you're up her ass. I've made that mistake before. Each and every time, it scared the woman off. That's how you have to play it. Like, give her attention, but in moderation. You have to give women a certain amount of attention because that's what they like. That's you got to flirt with women. You got to give them attention. But all I'm saying is, don't allow yourself to be overly focused on one woman because it scares them off.
Oh yeah, I think women definitely are going to get attention. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's automatic. But do you want to waste your time giving her attention and her not reciprocating? So that's one of the things that one of the mistakes guys make is that they give a woman way too much attention and she doesn't honor that attention, by maybe she'll talk to you, but she won't give it that full attention. She won't really care about it. You can't stick to that. You have to move on and do other things that improve your situation, because if you sit around and wait for her, she's going to be like, oh, well, I can take advantage of this guy. I'll treat him like a friend. He's an orbiter. I'm going to just have him there when I need him. If I need something, if I need a ride somewhere, if I'm out drunk and I need somebody to pick me up, I'll call him. That's not what guys should be doing. That's not what guys of value should be doing. Because again, you're going to sit around, you're going to get taken advantage of as the guy, and that's something that you have to avoid. And if you teach women how to treat you, you will be able to go about things the right way and not be scared to walk away. I think that's one of the things that guys are scared of. They're scared to walk away. They don't wake up and realize, hey, this woman is not treating me the right way, right? She's treating me like shit. Maybe, it's a woman that he's getting close with, but it's not really working out. Got to walk away. You have a woman that maybe is not in a relationship anymore. Maybe she's just going out and about. She's single now. You're trying to give her that attention. She's not giving it back to you. You have to walk away. I think we should probably make merch with shirts that say walk away or something like that, because it's one of those things where guys kind of stay stuck. They stay stuck on a woman, and they don't realize that, as corny as it sounds, there's a lot of fish in the sea, and it's true. There's a lot of women out there.
I'll put it to you guys this way. Women go out, hook up with a guy, and sleep with him the same night. If she finds him attractive, she sees him that way, she'll have sex with him the same night. So if a woman tells you 90 days, I'm not ready, she makes you wait, you have to feel that out. I've made that mistake in the past. If she didn't have sex with you and you've already been hanging out for 2-3 weeks, it's not going to happen. And again, the more effort you try to put in, the more time you spend with her, you're going to start to seep into the friend zone. And you know what? Women are ruthless nowadays. Some of these women, you'll go out on a date with them. You'll take them out to a nice dinner, drinks. You think everything went well. You'll drop her off and she'll go out and have sex with another guy that night. That's how it is.
100%. And that's something that, again, inadvertently keeps women single. It really just puts them in that position. They may say they don't want to be in that situation, but they put themselves in that situation. I think it's kind of weird because there's men that are trying to put themselves in position to treat the woman as well as possible. They're trying to be gentlemen with women, and they're not accepting to that. They want to do their own thing. Like we said, they want to have control over their decisions and be independent. I'm an independent boss, babe. That's the saying nowadays, right? So if there's a guy that's putting the effort and the attention and doing what it takes, and she's not giving in, then you have to realize that particular woman has the issue. There's women that will reciprocate. Shout out to those women. Shout out to, we'll give some of you women credit that do give a guy a chance, that do give attention, because I've seen some videos pop up of some guys trying to talk to women. They don't even look their way, give them that time of day. They think there's some sort of special supermodel or something, whatever the case is. And then women complain, well, why isn't he approaching me? Why isn't he giving me a chance? Well, guys get ignored. Guys are saying that, they don't want to get in trouble for harassment or Me Too'd. Guys don't want to get rejected in general. I don't want to talk to you type of thing. From what a woman says to them, I don't want to talk to you, or you just go away, or whatever it is. Guys are tired of that. So for women to complain about not being approached, I think they have to start making a change. Maybe they get approached by the guy that they don't want to be approached by, but at least you try to treat the guy nice if you have time, unless you're in a rush. I know sometimes people are in a rush. They're going to work. They're going to some activity. You can't stop. Totally get that. But if the guy is trying and you have time, at least say hello, be polite, because the guy that you may want to talk to you may just walk right by you and not say a thing. And you may want him to talk to you, say hello, and possibly ask you out. Maybe because of something that you see in him right in that first moment that you ever see him in your life. So what I say to the women is be more approachable. Lose that resting bitch face and be accepting to conversation and to opportunity with a man out there, because, again, you're the one losing out if you don't give it a shot.
Yeah, I see a lot of videos now where women are like, "Oh, guys don't approach us anymore. I went out with my girls and not a single guy approached us." We've had guests on that complain about the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You brought this upon yourself. I remember that era where women were like talking all this shit on shorts, like, "Oh, leave us alone. We just want to leave us." You brought this on yourself. Men are over this shit. We're done with it, like getting shut down and embarrassed and like this is what you wanted. And there's been so many different podcasts over the past, like, Fresh and Fit was probably one of the big ones that started in like what 2020.
Yeah, shout out to those guys.
Shout out to them.
They've been doing great.
They were like the original pioneers of this style of podcasting. Now that men have been taking all this information and been red pilled and understand female nature more, men are done with cold approaching for the most part, because why should we go up to you, buy you a drink, try to talk to you, and then get shut down and embarrassed? And the truth is, a lot of these women, they love that shit because they're getting the attention and they get a high off of rejecting guys. It makes them feel even better. It raises their ego even more. So men for the most part, are done with that. And I don't blame them.
I love how there's a lot of people hating in the chat, but it's not women. It's mostly men. I'm surprised. It's kind of like a different switch. It's usually the ladies. We had the New Year's Eve, the New Year's Day actually episode where there was a lot of women complaining, and it's kind of weird coming from the guys. I'm kind of surprised. Kind of feel bad for you guys actually out there. So, hopefully we're waking some of you guys up, and the rest of you numbnuts that think that we're being stupid or complaining. I mean, we're not really complaining. We're actually just trying to kind of prove some points and explain to you guys what's going on, what the issues are with both women and men. So,
yeah, and we're not here to play victim. Like, I've openly admitted to many screw ups that I've had in the past on our lives and our episodes, and what I learned from it. It's not to play victim. I mean, if we're lying about anything or we're not telling the truth, you let us know. But
100%, like that's one of those things that let us know if we're lying. But just to poke fun at something that we said or our views on it, it's kind of silly because, again, we see the problems that are going on, and we don't want the guys to go through it. We don't want men to go through it. Yeah, it's funny how people make the comparison thinking that we have the issues with dating and whatnot, when that's not the case, because you guys don't even know what we have going on. What's the case is that we see a lot of guys out there having issues with women, and by the looks of it, it's kind of funny that there's guys complaining because, they complain now, but they also complain that women don't give them the time of day. So it's like, well, we're telling you what to do, and we're giving you some steps to be able to change and go in the right direction. And you guys are, giving us shit for it. It's pretty funny. I think it's pretty funny.
There's been this whole thing about like calling men incels. Men are incels, whatever, right? How many women out there are single, don't have husbands, don't even have boyfriends, high body counts? You know what I'm saying? Like, look what's going on with online sex work. I think, if anything, women right now are taking the biggest L. For a man,
Yeah.
even if you are an incel, that's the least of your worries compared to what a lot of these broads are doing. And men are seeing it. Like I just said a second ago, like after taking all this content and like learning about how females operate, female nature, it's women that are screwing it up for themselves. I always hear women talk about how they want a good man. You don't want a good man. You're not telling the truth. If you wanted a good man, look, an attractive woman could have a man today, tomorrow. If you wanted a relationship by the end of the week, you're in a relationship. They don't want a good man. They don't want a relationship. They want to be single, and they want to enjoy that free attention, traveling to different countries, getting bent over balconies. That's what they really want, right or wrong.
Hey, you're
and
hitting,
if I was wrong, they wouldn't be doing it.
you're hitting it right on the money. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where women.
I see what women post.
Yeah,
I saw a woman post a story. She was like, "I want to be bent over a balcony in an island somewhere," so something along those lines. I know what you guys are doing.
100%. But it's funny because I can also see, just to kind of give women a little bit of support in this matter, I can see why they stay single as well. I mean, one of those reasons they choose to stay single is because they see some of you men. There are some men, not all men, but some men that are actually bums out there, that are feminine bitches. So women don't want a feminine bitch. They want a guy that is going to lead and protect them and basically go in the right direction for their future as well. So just to give women a little compliment on that, maybe they're avoiding men that are shit, you know. So I kind of get that perspective too.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know, some of you guys are saying that we're misogynists, we're hating women, we're depressed, we have our own issues, blah blah blah. I mean, I think that's further from the truth. I think that maybe you guys are trying to put out there how you feel currently for yourself. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that there were some of you guys that, you know, we all hope for the best for you, that you get out there and make improvements so you can attract that woman to your life, that woman that you want into your life. And it's sad. It's really sad. I mean, yes, there are, you know, there's an exception of women out there, a handful of women that are great. They're good.
Look,
You know,
I'll share something that I watched recently. So something I see a lot is guys will always put in the comments like, "Oh, get it. So all you need is money. If you had money, then everything's good." Like, there's this misconception that like, "Oh, if you have money, then dating's easy. Like, women are just gonna like be all over you, right?" So I found this channel of this guy that used to be a club bouncer, and he shares all these stories about female nature. Because club bouncers, they see the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? They're in the club every week. They see what women are really doing, cheating, you know, hooking up with multiple guys. And he was like, he lost his job at one club because the club owner used to come out with designer with chains on. He would buy all the girls bottles, and he thought like, yeah, like I'm the club owner, I'm gonna hook up with all these girls. And he said what the girls would do is go into the section, drink all the guys' booze, and then go and hook up with the bouncers. Or find like the guy they you don't know, you get what I'm saying?
Jeez.
And one of the owners got offended and fired him because of it. But I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
This idea that like if you have money, it like I forget who it was, if it was like Tate or somebody said like if you have money, it just amplifies who you already are. It just allows you to buy more shit and spend more money. But like if they don't fuck with you now, they're not gonna fuck with you just because you have a lot of money. And the club owner was like, he got him a whole section, probably spent like, you know, all this money on bottles, came out all dripped out and shit. And these girls just drank his booze and hooked up with the bouncer.
I'd be pissed too if I were that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm paying for the whole thing. I'm paying for the bouncers.
You can't buy attraction. It's not a matter of like, oh, maybe if I spend more, then she'll like me. No.
Of course. Again, it's only one of those things that amplify. You know, the more money you have, the more you basically amplify. It's kind of, you know, it's one of those things where if guys want to make a real change, you have to change within yourself, and that's the way it's going to work.
Some women will hook up with bums just because they get banged good by them.
Yeah. Real quick, shout out to WWMCD. Thank you for the gift. Really appreciate that. I mean, it's one of those things where women will hook up with.
Women talk about like
some bum.
standards and all that shit, but sometimes they hook up with bums because they're just attracted to them.
They will.
We've all seen that where like you see a hot girl and you're like, yo, she's dating him. Like what the fuck? Like he talks down to her. Like the guy's like broke or out of jail or some shit.
It's shocking, but it happens.
There you go.
It happens.
What they say and what they actually do are two completely different things. You got to pay attention to what women actually do. That's what I learned over the years. What they say most of the time is BS.
That's the thing. It's just watching how women move and then just acting accordingly, which is why I don't understand. I don't get why we're getting the hate for trying to wake guys up to try to get them to find a way to get women into their life. It's just silly to me. I mean, the way women act sometimes, even if you have the best game in the world, you can study it. You can try to really go about it by, you know, pointing certain things. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to go with the vibe, and you kind of have to have that personality. You kind of have to be smooth and work your way in there. And if you're not working your way in there with that particular woman, then don't waste your time. Move on to somebody else. I mean, that's my take. I say, you know, on to the next. There's that song, On to the Next.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, was it Jay-Z or something?
Mm-hmm.
On to the next, on to the next. It's on to the next, on to the next. Don't take it to heart. You know, we have gone up to women too, you know, whether it's recently or in the past. And there's women that are accepting of the conversation. And there's women that just completely ignore you. I mean, it's just what it is. So as a guy, you just have to be bold and give it a shot and see what happens, because you miss 100% of the chances you don't take. It's always a no in that case. So at least give it a try and do the best you can. That's what we're saying. So, for the guys out there saying, "Oh, these guys are complaining and they're bitching and moaning and they're pussies and this and that." I mean, you guys can think that. It's fine if you do, but don't project your insecurities that you have on us because we don't have
Something
them.
that always makes me laugh is like, well, you guys are single. I'm married, so what do you know about? Like, why should we listen to you? And I'm like, look, the fact that you're married doesn't really prove anything because what tends to happen is a lot of the times these women will kind of whore around in their 20s, and then
Yeah.
when they feel the time is right and they need to leave that life behind,
Yeah.
you better believe they're gonna marry some beta males. And we see this shit all the time, especially at our age, like we're in our late 30s. I know women that were like really like for the freeway in their 20s. And they pulled a 180 because they wanted to have kids and settle down, and they'll marry like whoever's willing to pay the bills and pay the mortgage and take care of them. They'll settle for guys like that when they get married.
You know what's funny? When I see a guy propose to a woman or a guy gets married to a woman, I was like, damn, that guy's a simp. That guy simped out. He is not going to get the value that guy deserves to get for proposing. Getting married is not what it was decades ago.
If you compare
It's not what it was.
the guys she was having sex with to the guy she married, it's like two different people. How come she didn't marry one of those guys? She was having sex with all those guys before. Why didn't she marry those type of guys? Because she knows that women aren't stupid. They know like there's the provider type and then there's the type that they're attracted to. Sometimes they get lucky and they find both. I'm not saying they don't. But
I'm just glad we were awake to this shit because, it seems like one at a time we're waking up some people. At first people, they watch our stuff. They say we're shit. All power to them. They can think what they want. But then people come around and realize maybe these guys are making sense.
we had a guy on our last live. We were talking about divorce, and he said, you guys are right. I bought a house. We had 14 acres. I had a boat. Like the guy seemed well off. We didn't ask him how much he makes, but he seems like he lives a pretty nice lifestyle. And the wife just left him out of the blue. No explanation, nothing.
Like, holy shit, you guys hate on us because we're telling you how it is. But at the end of the day, you have a woman that leaves you and takes half your shit, ruins your life. And we're here telling you this to prevent that, to avoid that situation. It's mind boggling, really, because we're here to help and not hurt. And it just seems like some of you guys are just, really, really hurting on this. Just kind of.
We get it's a triggering thing to talk about. We've been doing this for 2.5 years. We've already seen all the troll comments and all the hate. Like it's nothing new for us. We've heard it all.
We've heard it all. That's true. That's true. So it's one of those.
But if you guys have a comment or question on topic, we're more than happy to answer.
Definitely. Somebody says always have a prenup and don't rush to have babies. Yes. I mean, yes, that does help. But, keep in mind that prenups aren't 100% guaranteed. I've heard things around prenups that, haven't fully worked out. So, the best thing to do is, some women say that they're celibate, which is funny because most of them, almost 99.9% of them aren't. But I would say be completely avoidant of a marriage for a guy because, again, guys don't get any benefits to it. I've seen some videos, also some shorts, clips pop up now and then where there's other influencers, there's other guys saying the same thing. There's guys that have been through it. Some of you guys make fun of us. Oh, you haven't been married, blah, blah, blah. So you aren't worthy of giving this advice. I mean, it's not easy. It's pretty easy to see the writing on the wall and see what's going on with regards to what guys are going through, the numbers of the divorce rates and who's deciding to get divorced. Women ain't in it for love for the most part. Most of them are in it for the business, right? They want to get something from you. So, once they lock you into that contract, it's like any other contract. Once you're locked in, you're locked in. And then when you try to get out, you're stuck. So, that's why if women really, if they decide to be with someone, most of the time it's to go into that direction, it's to go into the marriage direction, is to, get a guy locked down and committed to them. And, guys end up simping out. Every time I see a guy, I'm like, man, that guy, they married a simp. They got proposed by someone that's a simp.
Another trap that men fall into, and I've seen people I grew up with fall into this, is they think that, well, if I give her a kid, that'll solidify the relationship. We've been dating for 5 years. If we have a child, that'll definitely lock us in, and that'll kind of like solidify our relationship together, and she won't leave me. Couldn't be further from the truth. Usually, 9 times out of 10, the opposite happens. How many people do we know that had kids and like the woman left the guy like a year later, 3 years later? Like the kid didn't even really grow up yet, and she already bounced because like the guy couldn't keep up financially, or she lost interest in him, lost attraction for him, whatever the case is. They had an argument. Happens all the time. You giving her a kid doesn't mean you're solidifying the relationship at all.
And the best, you know, the saddest thing actually is that the victim between all this is
the kid.
The kid.
Yeah, 100%.
The kid is the one that suffers. So, you know, if you want your kid not to suffer, that's something that you want to try to keep together, is to have the father and mother in the same household. Everything's working well. Everything's running like a well-oiled machine. And you're on the same page. Obviously, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be disagreements, but everyone's quick to break up, divorce, break up, divorce. Obviously, if it's over time where you're in something for 3, 4, 5 years and it's not working out the way you want it to work out, either for men or women, then yes, it's time to walk away. But, you know, if you have a kid involved or multiple kids involved and you break it apart, that's going to affect them. You know, they're going to grow up without either a father or a mother, or in, you know, some scenarios, both, without both in the household. And
no, it's a very selfish thing to do, to have a
terrible.
kid and then break up over some bullshit, and then raise the kid in some chaotic environment that he didn't ask to be brought into, you know, because you guys had a disagreement. I understand sometimes people break up for valid reasons. Somebody mentioned, you know, physical abuse, things like that. Of course, but you know, most of the time people break up over BS. So
100%. And that's another thing that we can get into, is why women stay single. It's because of the changing of social norms. So it's mostly like women not wanting to get into a commitment or a marriage, some sort of long-term commitment. Things are changing, right? It's kind of like quick relationship, break up, quick hookup, and that's it. You don't see each other again. That's one of those things that you see nonstop, reoccurring over and over and over again. It's tough to see. It's really tough to see. Do we see it changing anytime soon? I don't think so. I mean, we've gone pretty deep into the hole to come back from. But, you know, it's up to that person. If they want some sort of valuable relationship, whether it's the guy, man, or the woman, then it's up to them to make that change for themselves. And I'm sure that if that man is putting out there great energy, he's going out there, he's not hiding in his home, and he's going out to try to find that relationship. Well, you know, you can't just go out and find a relationship, but if you go out and try to create relationships with people, meet people, you know, meet women in person, and you're approachable, you're not sitting in a corner with a drink by the bar, you're just kind of being a creep, and you're really trying to, you know, put your foot forward towards potentially having a relationship with a woman, a fulfilling relationship with a woman at that, then it's going to work out. But if you're not putting the effort, you're not putting the time and energy into it, it's not going to work. Some of you guys may have been through some stuff already, and you don't want to put the time and energy into it. You want peace. I get that side.
A lot of people are taking that route.
I get that side of it too. Men are fed up. Men are fed up, want peace. They don't want to deal with the headaches anymore. They've been through it. They've put the effort in, and they're tired.
I'll tell you why men are stepping back, because all women preach is effort. You need to put effort into me. You need to put effort into me. And men put effort in, they get burned 5 times in a row, and then they're like, all right, I'm not putting effort in anymore. That's the real reason. I don't think men really have bad intention. I think women paint us in this bad light because of feminism. Like, oh, men are scumbags. All we want to do is sleep with them. That's BS. Men like that exist, but the way feminism kind of paints men and like teaches women to like we're some sort of dirtbags, like it's a really unfortunate. And women are going to lose in the end because of it.
Yeah, exactly. So another thing that may keep women single is that mental health aspect of it, being emotionally ready, maybe they've been through some trauma that they've dealt with, that, a situation in a past relationship, they've been through something already, and they're trying to avoid that again coming up in the future. They don't want to deal with that any further. So that's something that may be keeping them out of that relationship limelight, and just, they want to be at peace as well. So
Somebody said they won't lower their standards. They need money. Yeah, that's generally how it is nowadays. These women are all about like I mentioned earlier, like, what can you do for me financially? It's a very transactional type of relationship. Are you going to pay my rent? Are you going to pay my car payment? Are you going to buy me shit? That's really what it comes down to. It's a very superficial way of dating, but that's how it is. You can't really blame men for not wanting to put effort in, because if that's what their relationship is based on, like, and that's not to say that men don't want to spend money on women. Like, I think most men would be more than happy to splurge on a woman that they're in a happy, genuine relationship with, but not over some superficial shit where it's like, you're going to treat me like I'm your fucking personal servant.
But yeah, definitely the past relationship experiences, the unhealthy past, the, emotional neglect, the betrayals, the trauma. That's something that, women are staying single because as a result of. It's just one of those things where, yeah, they've been through a lot. We get it. There's some guys out there that aren't the cream of the crop. They're not the best guy out there. They don't treat the woman well, and she ends up walking away and not wanting to get with another guy. They take that trauma and they bring it into another relationship. It's going to be a mess. So I get that women need to go through that quote unquote healing phase, but at the end of the day, there's some women that make that shit up, and it's just kind of an excuse to keep themselves out of a relationship.
Well, a lot of women go to therapy. I was having a conversation with this woman at a wedding of all places, and she works in like a psychiatric center, and she was like, "Oh, I watch your podcast, and I could tell by the vocabulary your guests use that they've been to therapy." And I was like, "Well, that's interesting. Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you know they went to therapy?" And she's like, "When women talk about healing and peace, you'll notice that like it's a pretty common theme. A lot of these women go to therapy because they won't openly admit it or like express it, but they're struggling internally, mentally. They're obviously not winning at dating either. A lot of them are single, so they go to therapy. Therapy's not the answer. I think therapy is like, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? If it worked, most of these women would be fixed after a couple of sessions. But apparently, a lot of these women go to therapy.
I mean, I think more or less therapy is being heard out by somebody else and then them giving you advice. But I think you'll get somebody that truly cares about you. If you have somebody that truly cares about you, like if you're a guy, you have one of your boys that, is one of your good friends, your best friends, I would definitely talk to him for advice.
And before people attack us for it, yes, there are valid reasons to go to therapy.
100%.
If you had like genuine trauma, you went through some real shit, go to therapy. Like, there's people
100%.
that are suicidal, drug addicts, whatever, go to therapy. But I think a lot of people go to therapy like just to have one of these bullshit like hear me out sessions.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the therapist isn't really fix you. That's why men generally don't believe in therapy, because we know it's not going to help us.
Right. For some things it does. So we're not saying don't do it, but for some things it won't be beneficial. It's more of like you need somebody there to hear you out, but are they really giving you that genuine advice that's going to help you overcome that struggle, that issue? You may want to have somebody that's close to you that's willing to hear you out, that has genuine care for you as, a friend or, a brother or family member. Could be your dad for the guys out there, for the ladies out there. It could be one of your best friends as well. It could be your mom. Whatever the case is, you may just need somebody to hear you out, somebody to talk to. But, for some things, yes, therapy is the answer. For some things, may not be. And it's just kind of like a get out of jail type thing, avoid the situation and not take accountability. And that's one thing I don't think we brought up at all is accountability. There's things that maybe you did yourself that you weren't accountable for. And as a result, situation just kind of escalated into the wrong direction where the relationship spiraled out of control, and it was your fault, not the guy's fault, or vice versa. It could have been the guy did something, he wasn't accountable, and relationship broke off, and it was his fault. He didn't pay attention to what the woman's needs were, and things fell apart because of that. So, but that's more of a, doesn't happen as often as women. You rarely hear women taking accountability, saying, "Hey, I fucked up. I messed up. It's my fault."
I've never heard a woman say like, "Oh, me and my ex broke up because I did X, Y, Z," or like, "I have to admit whatever," right? Gave him a hard time, cheated. You'll never hear women say that. Accountability is women's kryptonite. We're never going to live to see the day that women like admit to their own faults. That's just the reality for us.
So here's one thing that we didn't mention yet, but how can guys improve their opportunity at a relationship in this world of dating where men are struggling to lock in even a first date, lock in even a conversation with a woman? What can men do to really focus on, getting that goal?
Well, look, I'll say this. The way things are now, you can't just lock in and focus on one woman. Women aren't playing it that way. You have to talk to multiple women, play your cards, put effort into women that are giving you something in return. Don't be a people pleaser. Don't go out of your way to like, every man goes through this at some point in time, but where you lock in on one woman and you want her and you're going to go out of your way to try to please her, it doesn't work. You have to talk to multiple women and only put effort into women that reciprocate. If a woman's reciprocating, by all means, take her out on the dates. We've done episodes where we talk about like not spending too much money on the first date. If a woman's reciprocating, by all means, spend money on her, treat her right. We're not saying not to, but this idea of like pleasing women and going out of your way to like meet their standards and shit, none of that's going to make her attracted to you. She's either attracted to you or she isn't. Like I mentioned before, women sleep with men on the first date, the second date. If she's into you, she's not going to make you wait 90 days or play any games and shit like that.
Yeah, wait 10 dates,
No.
wait 20 dates or some crap like that. I mean, that to me is ridiculous. But men can really put their best foot forward if they just focus on themselves and basically go out there and put themselves in position for a conversation with a woman. Obviously, they're going to have to go up to women and start that conversation or, create it somehow. Maybe you can slide in and just kind of say some icebreaker or say something random or something funny that kind of gets him in with her. But at the end of the day, the men have to put themselves in position and they should focus on improving themselves in all aspects. And then it'll come. Feel the vibe out. Yes, there's a certain amount of game you have to be able to lock it in with the woman. But at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. If you do a thing or two here or there with regards to game and conversation with women and trying to, make it nice and smooth where you are able to get her number or get a first date, it's possible. It's possible, but you have to put yourself in position. Some of you guys, unfortunately, may not be 6 feet tall or higher, but be that short king, right? Work hard, go to the gym, make money, have the best attitude possible, have the best outlook on life, and then go out and be sociable and put yourself in position to go up to a woman if she gives you the signal. I wish women were a bit more obvious when it comes to, what they, if they see a guy and they like him and not kind of like look over at him and kind of look away right away or something like that, give these choosing signals. But if they're making it obvious, then I think a guy should be able to slip in and start some conversation of some sort.
The advantage men have over women, and generally speaking, women tend to go for older men or men that are at least a couple years older than them. We experienced this in high school. The girls were hooking up with college guys. In college, they were hooking up with guys that are in their 30s. And as you get older as a man, assuming you don't screw your life up and end up a bum, right? As you get older, women tend to take you more seriously. As long as you keep your life in order, have a steady job, pay your bills, show you're a serious person. As you get older, women tend to take you more seriously. When you're a 20-something-year-old guy, no woman takes you seriously. Even if they hook up with you, they don't. No woman values a 22-year-old guy. But as you get older, it gets easier.
100%. As long as you put the work in. If you put the work in, yes. But if you don't put the work in, you let yourself go, it's not going to get easier. You're just going to have to catch up and try to make a comeback.
A lot of those women with the high standards in their 20s and even early 30s, they hit an age and they all start to drop off. We're seeing that now. Like I'm 39. You see them drop like flies. They hit a certain age, and like the women that are interested in having kids, obviously. Some women, I know women that are my age and they just want to travel. And I know a woman that's married, and she told me straight up she doesn't want to have kids because she just doesn't want that type of a lifestyle and responsibility. She wants to live her life.
100%. 100%. Absolutely. I love this I think this woman here, Shannon 9723. You're over here bitching and complaining.
What's
Wha-
Shannon
what-
saying?
What?
I didn't even look at the comments.
Well, she said that no women values a complaining little boy. Number one,
Typical woman shaming tactic, but go ahead.
I don't know who's a little boy here. That's number one. Number two, I don't know who's complaining. We're only trying to help and give some advice.
Correct.
I mean, and number three, I think I have seen you on the episode for probably over an hour now. So I mean, if you hate us that much, why are you still watching?
And plus,
Wh-
these are like
Why are you still looking? Why are you still watching? It's freaking almost 5 a.m. on the East Coast. It's probably at least, you got to be somewhere in the country, at least 1 a.m. somewhere. Why are you still watching? Why don't you go to the bed with your boyfriend or your husband? Do you even have one? Do you even have a guy?
look.
That
What
you're-
Shannon's doing is
that-
just a common like shaming tactic. Little boys, insecure. Fucking. What's the other one? Like
But it's funny. But does she have a guy that like she's over here making fun of us? But do you have a guy that you're with, or are you just alone?
And look, this is an
Yeah.
example of
That's
like
what's funny to
women
me.
always want communication, but when you communicate the truth, they don't want to hear the truth.
They don't.
Women don't want to hear
They
the
don't.
truth.
They don't. They-
Women want you to feed their delusions. You're perfect just the way you are. You can't do any harm. All your failed relationships were the guy's fault. He was a narcissist, right?
And I just wanted to point that out because again, we do bring the women on the podcast and give them their time to speak, and for the most part, the women that come on, for the most part, there's a few, bad apples here and there, but for the most part, they're respectful. We're able to have an adult conversation, which is why it's funny because we have some of these women on here. It's like the one other time too, the women were bitching and moaning. We're trying to help you out by giving men the best advice possible so you have the best men to work with. But it doesn't seem like you have a guy because you've been on here for an hour, or else you'll be busy dealing with the guy that you have.
Look, playing victim is somebody that will sit there and say like, "Oh my God, it's so hard. I can't. It's unfair." Like that's complaining or playing victim when you feel like the whole world is against you. We're not saying that at all.
And you say we are far from perfect. Nobody said we were perfect. So 100%, we all have our flaws, and that you feel sorry for us. You don't have to feel sorry for us. Things are going great for us. I actually feel sorry for you, and I truly hope for the best for you. I mean, really wish all the best for you. I mean, it seems like there's something missing there that you have to spread the negativity and the hate, which is fine. I mean, this is nothing new. We've been doing this for, a good part of more than 2 years, but it's kind of funny that it just happens, and you're one of the women that we highlight here because there's some women that we've had before that.
The doctor said I have 8 hours. Well, we're happy that you're spending one of your last hours with us.
Yes, we hope everything works out 100%. But it's funny
Muslim Arabs
because
have the right idea. They have a few wives, right? Because their culture hasn't been poisoned by feminism, and they'll never allow that to happen. And in the U.S., we've allowed it to happen. They slipped through the cracks, and they've completely flipped the tables on us, and it's too late to fix it.
yeah, no matter what we say, I mean, we could.
Good luck
we-
convincing a woman to be traditional. Now, I hear people talk about like, oh, a traditional wife. Women could give two shits about staying at home and cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the kids. Those days are gone.
Traditional to women? What the hell is that?
No.
That doesn't exist anymore. Come on. Give me a break. They don't want traditional. They want their own way, and their own way is the way. See, that's the thing. So, what's the right way? Well, the right way is traditional values, is men leading, women following, but it's not what women want. So it's totally fine. But again, it's not going to work in their benefit. It's not going to work. They're not going to go in the right direction because of it. So it sucks. It kind of sucks. You feel for them, like this woman here. I mean, I feel for her. I wish all the best to her, and I know there's probably some other women watching, complaining. You feel for them because you really do want people to be happy. Genuinely want people to be happy. You don't want people to be struggling. There's so much shit going on in the world to, aside from dating, which there's other things that we're going to talk about in the future. We're going to have more ladies on. We're going to talk about other things, but we're also going to have podcasts related to money, fitness, etc. And it's just one of those things where there's so much craziness in the world and so much chaos. We're not gonna, really get into it, but just look at what happened in Minnesota just a few days ago, 2-3 days ago. I mean, it's horrible things that are just horrible situation, just things going on in general that this one, these views and these things that we have to say just kind of irks people, kind of hurts them, and it's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to hurt anybody, but hey, you take it. We can't control your thoughts and if you're receptive to it or not. We can only do our best to give you our best take. We have our experiences. We've done our research. We know how it is. We've learned a lot, and we know how it is to deal with these women nowadays. Great example right here with this one lady. So 100%. There's a lot of angry women in the chat. I don't know why. We said a lot of good things about women today. We said a lot of great things about women. I'm surprised. There were a couple of guys that were pissed off too, but I'm surprised that more guys didn't get offended by us complimenting the women, because that happens too sometimes. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys again. We're almost at 5 a.m. on the East Coast. We're probably going to call it a night soon. I'm sure some of you guys will be happy for that. But, again, we truly hope for the best. We want a better world. And I think a lot of it stems from relationships and dating, which is something that we wholeheartedly focus on. It's one of those things that are just kind of like one of the main issues that are going on nowadays in the world, just dating, relationships, and it's just a huge problem.
Any comments worth responding to? I love tortas. Tortas are good.
Hey, you like what you like, right? I'm glad we can entertain you guys. Some of you guys are entertained. I'm glad we can entertain you guys. It sucks. I wish there was some useful questions to answer to, or comments. It just got kind of bland here towards the end, but we do hope that women start changing their attitudes about being single and start, going more into relationship mode. But there's guys that have a lot of work to do, but I am seeing more and more in the gym, more guys working out, guys out, working hard, getting their money up. I think I see a lot of improvement, with a handful of guys, but there are a lot of guys out there that still need to work on some things. Somebody said women are so beautiful, but usually evil. Yeah, that's the case with some women, especially some of the most beautiful women, unfortunately, that, they have not so good intentions.
Women are evil in their nature. I don't believe when we say women are evil, I don't think a lot of it is intentional. I think it's just in their nature to screw over and move on to the next guy quick and go. It's that's female nature for you. I don't think they're doing it intentionally most of the time.
Yeah, it's kind of who they are.
Yeah.
And what they put out there into the world.
Look, when a
they don't
woman
do it-
just
they-
randomly divorces a guy and sleeps with a guy the next day, that's their nature to do so. I don't think she ever had any evil intentions with that original guy. It's their nature to move on very quickly and to exit relationships quickly.
100%, 100%. Somebody said hoes be tripping. Absolutely.
Hoes be tripping.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's no loyalty in them. Correct, because they don't value loyalty. They value, especially modern women, they value excitement, novelty, luxury. They want to post everything on Instagram. Oh, there you go.
Oh, Shannon's still here? I think you're entertained. I think you're entertained now. Some of the ladies are here for a while. They complain about us, but they're watching. I just don't get it.
Because we know women love this type of shit, the drama,
They love
the
the
relationship topic.
They're getting a kick out of it, that's for sure.
No woman, no bill. True.
Somebody said losing my faith in humanity. This is sad. Yeah. Yeah, I would say there's a lot of issues here, and when you open it up, it's kind of all hidden. But when there's podcasts like this and we open things up, you kind of see what deep down some people are thinking. And boy, man, it's surprising. It's surprising. You would think some people would have a better outlook on this, and it's just not the case. They want rights, give them equal rights. Yeah. And see, that's where feminism has done damage tonight. That's where feminism has really, been the icing on the cake. It's that they want rights, give them equal reps. Well, no, we don't want violence, but at the same time, again, with regards to feminism, definitely is something that hasn't been used properly. I mean, obviously, it was to prove a point, but I think women have more rights than men nowadays. More opportunities come up, and a lot of it is because of their looks. So there's women out there, if you put yourself in a situation where you just look good and you're there, you get opportunities. And that's why some women naturally come out and say, I'm here, I'm valuable. What do you bring to the table? So guys have to bring this list to the table, be ready to go, while she just has to show up. And that's why we don't say women are evil to say that they're evil, but that's kind of an evil way to look at things. Like, I'm here, I'm providing myself, my appearance to you, but what do you provide? You have to provide a whole list of things for me to even give you the time of day. That's kind of evil.
The wild thing that I see is, especially as women get older, they'll marry a guy they're not even attracted to. And I know that for a fact, because if you look at the guys they were hooking up with when they were younger, they look nothing like the guy they married. The guy they married is a safe bet. He has a steady job. He knows he can't do better than her. He's going to pay the mortgage. He's going to pay her car payment, her credit card debt, and he's going to do it with a smile on his face. And she knows that. And that's why they marry those types of guys. And look, if you're okay with that, if you know what you're signing up for, go for it. I wouldn't ever do that. It's like, I'm telling you, like, we know women that I grew up with, that I used to party with in my 20s, that were wild. And all of a sudden, they'd turn into good girls in their like late 30s. They marry a guy and they pull a 180. And then you see what the guy's doing. I'm like, shit, I feel bad for this guy. He bought her a fucking house, a car. He's paying off her fucking loans and shit. For what? Because you get to hit it a couple times a month. Down the line, she's gonna stop sleeping with you altogether. And then if you get divorced, it's fucked up, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not one of these like anti-marriage people. I'm not saying men shouldn't get married, but like, you could very easily get suckered into that type of situation if you're not careful. Don't marry out of desperation, because like, this is what happens a lot of times. Is a guy will date a girl and he's scared to lose her, so he marries her. He buys her the ring because he gets into that panic mode. Like, shit, like, we've been dating for 3 years. If I don't marry her, who cares if she leaves?
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be against marriage if it was, for the most part, foolproof, and the guy didn't, just lose his livelihood over it. I think that's something that, we have in mind, we keep in mind. And, we see guys, when you hear a guy that had it all or had, a great life and then ends up living in his parents' basement and the guy's in his 40s or 50s, I mean, that's just insanity. A woman took the house, woman took the car. She has custody of the kids. We're trying to save somebody out here. If we could save one person, I think we did our job today. I think we did our job today. Even though, the rest of you guys may be hating on it, that's fine. But, I think we hit it on the money. I think we really did. If we can save a guy from going through it, from struggling, from the headache, I think we did a great job.
All right, let's look through the comments before we wrap it up.
Yeah, anybody have an actual good comment, worthy comment to be read? Nobody super chatted anything in, but is there anything that is positive, is something that's going to bring some value to the show, or to the people out there, to the 37 of you watching? Really appreciate you guys watching. We're about to close up soon. Again, if you like what we have to say, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you don't, and you just want to go on and hate, you can also subscribe to the channel. We're okay with taking it either way. We don't mind.
Newcomer here, mostly date strip. When you say you date strippers, you actually get into a relationship with a stripper, or you just pay them for their time? Because that's more like sugar dating. I wouldn't say that's a relationship. Shannon, still here, still watching.
What's up, Shannon? What's up? Thanks for being a fan. We appreciate it. Hey, guys, what's up? What's up, Lave Scott Perez? What's up, Dr. Nakia Dowdy? What's going on? Peace out, Shannon. Finally, go to bed, please. Go do something. Sundays are for church. You got church? Go to church tomorrow.
Shannon, it's 5 a.m. It's time to take the rose out.
It sounds like
time
you
to take
need
the
it.
rose out and call it a night.
It sounds like you need it.
All right, nothing but BS in the comments. I think we'll wrap it up, guys. Thank you for watching. Go check out our full-length videos where we have guests on. We'll have 2-hour episodes where we go back and forth with women on these type of topics. If you like this type of content, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Let's wrap it up.
You got it, guys. Thank you for watching the podcast, guys, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Facebook, podcast guys _. We'll see you